Anticipated matchup between the Oakland Raiders and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Super Bowl 37.
We're world champs, baby! Give me that!
They couldn't catch another shit. And it's like you noticed, so it's time to flip the script. Cruising through the bay on that Buccaneer battleship, sold up, screaming out, so Buc what you heard. So Buc what you heard. So Buc what you heard. So Buc what you heard.
Welcome back to another edition of Buc What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Buc What You Heard. You follow me, I will follow you back. I've been following people all day, so you guys know that it's true. I am joined by my co-host, Ken Barrett, not to be mistaken with Shaq Barrett, but I think he can get just as many sacks. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Gene?
Bro, this is Christmas right here. This is just
Christmas
as good
Eve.
as Christmas. We are right here. And it's about to get into effect. I mean, it's just so hard to believe with all the changes that were made in the offseason and where we are right now. We are just days away from the first game of the NFL season for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How you feeling?
I'm doing fantastic, and I just can't wait for Sunday. Sunday's my birthday, so I hope the Bucs give me a good present.
Yeah, and be sure to check out the Brawl Network. That's I'm associated with the Brawl Network now. Shout out to them for giving me the opportunity. Austin, thank you so much. And we will do what we can to make this fun, man. For you, what sticks out the most right now? What's the one thing that pops into your head when you're thinking about, man, we are just this close to kickoff? What's popping in your head right now?
Just excitement. I mean, I just can't even. Sunday just can't come soon enough. And even though the Bucs aren't playing tomorrow, I can't even imagine the amount of people who are going to be tuning in tomorrow for Chiefs Texans.
Yes, that is going to be a good game. The Kansas City Chiefs and how they've kept that team pretty much together, and they have a very solid team, and they could potentially be back in the Super Bowl. What do you think?
That's my hope is a Bucs Chiefs Super Bowl. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best.
That's right. Well, and you got to keep in mind the Chiefs haven't beat the Bucs since '93, so there is that.
Yeah, there's a little guy named Patrick Mahomes who won't make it easy.
Exactly. And I'm just joking. All jokes aside, I didn't believe back in May. You can go back and watch the shows. I didn't think we would be here. I didn't think that, there would be football at this time. So I'm excited.
No, me too. I'm ecstatic. I mean, I guess I had a little bit more hope than what you did, but at the end of the day, I figured week 1 would happen, but I have a better sense and feel that the rest of the season will unfold.
Yeah. And you really got to tip your hat to the NFL and how they've handled this team, a contact sport, a close contact sport, with the number of COVID cases that they've had. I mean, it's phenomenal what they've done and how they've prepared and how everybody's bought into this and they've maintained that safety.
Yeah, and it's across the board. It's everyone from the media to the players and staff inside the building. I mean, the Bucs content people are producing some great stuff.
Oh, yeah. Let's take a moment. I mean, when you talk about loose cannons, Bucking Idiots, shout out to Bucking Idiots, Stank Bastard and that crew, Samurai Ali and Pewtercast and what they're doing, and just how important Pewtercast is for what they would call us fringe media, which thank you so much for what they're doing and getting other people will get opportunities based on how professionally they're handling everything. Buccaneer Bruce, how you doing tonight? Zach Jarvis, what's going on? And there are so many new podcasts that are popping up. And I know there are a lot of people who are like, well, there's another podcast, but you know what? Everybody's got their niche. Everybody's going to have that group of people that, you're going to follow, you're going to listen to. Just like the Brawl Network, they've got all these different teams, content that I've really enjoyed listening to. And I can tell you this: I think that the days of radio and a lot of television are drawn to a close. People are more drawn to podcasts. People are more drawn to live streams. People are more drawn to people that are truly invested in the team and not just reading off of a sheet that they have with some statistics that they're handed. So, all these guys that are putting out this content, thank you so much. Keep doing what you do. What is it? Beauty in the Cleats, Set the Sails. There are just so many podcasts out there that you can name, and you guys are all appreciated.
Exactly. And some of the people you've even mentioned, they were fans just like you and me before they started their own little podcast, and a lot of them have taken off. So you never know. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, Mr. Bucks Nation. That's another one. Real close friend of the show as well. Pat Donovan, who I've had on here before. I'm going to try to get his co-host Aaron on here again. There are just so many people that have contributed to make this offseason fun. I have to say, in the past 10 years, this offseason has probably been the most fun offseason that I've experienced, going all the way back to, I don't know, 03 maybe. And it's just crazy. It just because of all the positive moves that have been made, and the Bucks are setting themselves up to try to do something. So we kind of have to see how that all works out.
Yeah, no, exactly. Couldn't say anything better than that myself.
So let's dive in here. There have been a lot of moves since we talked about, and I think the last time I was on, Leonard Fournette had just gotten signed.
Literally right when my mic cut out last episode.
So
right as it happened.
So let's rewind back to that, bro. And I want to get your thoughts on it. And we're going to start there, and then we're going to move forward because there have been some other moves that have been made, and I want to get your takes on them. So
yeah, 52 other people are involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so Leonard Fournette, man. I mean, I guess when he first signed, I was a little bit not down, but I thought they signed him for a little bit too much money. But at the end of the day, it solidifies the room. They answered the Dari question, which if he was still here, I honestly thought Dari was still going to be on the roster. But now that they handled that, we understand now basically none of the running backs other than maybe Keyshawn Vaughn is playing special teams this year. So they at least have whatever their plan is rolled out, carved. And hopefully Fournette can like week 3, maybe. I can't really expect anything much from him weeks 1 and 2, but week 3 on, hopefully he solidifies the room as an extra weapon in the backfield, both on the run and in the pass. And hopefully his pass blocking skills are up to task.
Yeah. And, when you think about it, you go back and even in past years, Russell Shepard was captain for was a captain on special teams, and the Bucks decided what he was asking for was too much. They let him go to Carolina, and the special teams did fine.
Yeah, good move. It's Ryan Smith, but at the wide receiver position.
Yes, basically. So what you have here is, I mean, when I was looking at it, and this is a position for me that I'm really going to keep a close eye on is special teams. How does this all gel? I mean, you have preseason games taken from you. You have camp, you have OTAs, and I've mentioned this in previous weeks. All these things are taken from you. But here you go. You have to get out here and game 1, show what you can do. How comfortable are you with where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are right now?
Honestly, I'm pretty worried with special teams. What's nice, though, is at least kickoff is pretty much covered because Pinion can just boot it out of the end zone. But Pinion, in my opinion, is a below-average punter. So those punt the punt teams, and Ryan Smith is locked down, probably one of the gunners. So it'll be interesting to see who locks down that other gunner. I'm really concerned with our return teams, though. I don't trust pretty much anyone at this point. I forgot the guy's name who's the returner. He's a receiver. Oh my goodness, I can't find him on my depth chart. Oh, Jaden Mickens, excuse me. I mean, I just don't know what to expect from Mickens, but I mean, hopefully he's a fair catch plus a couple extra yards. That's all I can really hope for.
Yeah, and again, you just have to hope that some of these players will step up and do what they need to do. I mean, that's going to be huge right there. And when you look at the roster moves that were made over the weekend, there were some players that I liked, and I will say this: I am not a GM. I'm a horrible GM. You don't want me as your GM. I would rather be on here running my mouth, speaking nonsense, than talking about being a GM in any capacity. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. Because one of the guys that I like, Tanner Hudson, and we talked about this off camera, is a guy that they pretty much they let him go, and they kept Anthony Auclair. And if you would, kind of talk a little bit about, what was really the thinking when they were looking at that roster and they were looking at the tight end position. I know you've got Gronk, you've got Brait, you've got OJ Howard, and then you have an Anthony Auclair. How do you utilize that tight end core?
Well, so Gronk and OJ are pretty much your do-it-all. Brait's a below-average blocker, in my opinion. I think he's better than what people give him credit for. But what they really need is a strong blocker. And shout out to the Pewter Report people. From what I've heard is that Auclair has actually had surer hands than what I've known, because I've rarely seen him in a game catch a pass, and I've rarely seen him really at practice catch that much, because we're all looking at Chris Godwin and Mike Evans more than we're looking at Anthony Auclair.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Tanner Hudson, I know he's your boy, and I know he splashes a little bit more play. I mean, he splashed all Priest. Him and Griffin are yin and yang. So, I mean, not having him around on the initial 53 is, some people would be surprised, but Auclair came down to special teams and blocking.
And you talk about intangibles. You talk about a guy that can do multiple things. He's not just a tight end that catches the ball. He can be utilized in certain positions. And I think that's what you need right there, is versatility. And, to your point, Anthony Auclair is a more versatile tight end than Tanner Hudson was. Tanner Hudson had youth on his side, but at the same time, you've got a guy in Anthony Auclair who could do a little bit more, when you look at everything stretched across the board. I'm going to jump out here in the chat because, again, Buc What You Heard is all about the chat. It's all about getting everybody involved. And Frank G was talking about Rojo or Leonard Fournette. How do you, to me, I'm going to say this season, guys, and mark my words, it's all about wins and losses. I don't care who's starting or who's finishing, but if these guys are producing and they're putting this team in a position to win, it doesn't matter who starts or who's in the fourth quarter. It doesn't matter to me, as long as they win the game. That's what it all comes down to for me.
Yeah, no, exactly. And at the end of the day, I think Rojo's going to take the majority of the carries the first two games, but
He turned it.
and then Fournette's going to pretty much, in my opinion, be what Peyton Barber was last year. Maybe Rojo makes it more 50-50 for the rest of the season, or, after, week 8, maybe, depending on how good Rojo does. But just seeing, I think it's a great problem to have right now. We have a talented backfield. I mean, I think Shady McCoy's, especially against the Saints, is going to have more of an impact than people realize, because I think it's going to be a good old-fashioned shootout, whether we like it or not.
And, dude, think about this. Let's go back to 2015. Doug Martin was your number 2 leading rusher in the NFL. After that point, from that point to where we are now, the running back position has been like this. It's been up in the air. We've been juggling. We're not sure. We don't have that go-to guy. We don't have that guy that you can say, hey, this is the guy we're going to roll with. This is our guy. But now when you look at that running back camp right there, that's exciting to see that, because you've got Rojo, you've got Shady, and you've got Leonard Fournette. I'm happy to have this kind of problem, as you mentioned.
Exactly. It's a great problem to have. And to me, it's a great, well-balanced room. So I cannot say anything. And at the end of the day, they're honestly between Rojo's salary, LaShawn McCoy's salary, and Fournette's salary as an entire room. A lot of people are paying back that money, if not more. So it's at the end of the day, it's a small portion of the salary cap that's dedicated to 3 players who have a role carved out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You again, something else to get excited about. And I know we've talked about the tight ends. We've talked about the running back situation. I do want to kind of move over to the offensive line, because when you talk about running backs, you talk about tight ends. They all play in tandem here. When there are times where there are weaknesses on that offensive line, you may call upon your tight end to come in and block or protect the quarterback a little bit more. So there are times like that. But when you look at this offensive line and Tom Brady under center, how comfortable are you with the offensive line, just knowing who's handling the ball?
Scale 1 to 10, probably a 6. Donovan Smith, if Tom Brady holds on to the ball probably longer than 3 seconds, has me just worried in general. We saw when Jameis tried to extend plays that sometimes Smith would, give up or get beat late. And it's just a problem that I think having Brady around to get the ball out faster will help. And I think a lot of eggs are being thrown into the basket of Alex Kappa and Tristan Wirfs on the same side together. I think you're going to see Gronk and OJ be heavy chippers for Cameron Jordan, especially this weekend, because I don't see Cameron Jordan lining up on the left side of our line. I think he's going to line up on the right and try to eat against a rookie and a second-year player who we're hoping develops, but until we see it, we can't really believe it.
Yeah. To me, I know a lot of people were upset with Cam Jordan. They don't like him talking trash, but the only way you can shut him up is on the field. You just got to shut him down. That's the only way that you're going to stop this kind of talk from him, this reckless talk that he does.
Did you see what he said to Donovan Smith after he signed his contract?
Yes, he had a turkey dinner. And you know what? He wasn't wrong.
Yeah, but I mean, he was using it to get Alex Okafor back. But he's
the only way you're going to shut that down is to do it on the field.
Exactly.
If you sweep the Saints the next year, Cam Jordan, oh, we get to play the Bucs. Oh, we swept you guys last year. End of story. And that's what the Bucs are going to have to do. I know we've seen all this on paper. We've seen what the Bucs are going to do. The Bucs have to go out there and punch everybody in the mouth. They had to punch everybody in the mouth if they're going to make a statement. And that's what it's going to come down to.
Exactly. And he even did his chirping on NFL Network earlier this year, or this offseason, excuse me. I mean, he's all talk, but he's backed it up a little bit. So we just gotta be ready for him.
Yeah. And I mean, when you're going to the playoffs year after year and you get beat by Minnesota or whatever, but when you go to the playoffs, I mean, we've done that. What have you guys done? You guys haven't stopped me. You guys haven't stopped me from talking. So that's what the Bucs are going to have to do.
Imagine drafting Adrian Claiborne over him.
Jesus Christ. That is a sore subject with me right now. I mean,
shout out Mark Dominic.
Yeah, shout out to Mark Dominic, the rock star GM.
Yep.
Oh, and while we're talking about that, with some of the moves that we've seen, I mean, look at Earl Thomas. Earl Thomas hasn't signed with anybody.
To me, that's a little bit crazy. I know a lot of things have come out, but you would think Dallas or someone would put up with it for one season.
I honestly believe Dallas is going to sign him.
But it's about week 1. You'd think he'd be in the door at least by now, or some sort of speculation.
He's a consummate professional. I think he'll be fine. I had a friend, Homeless Harvey. Shout out to Harvey. I know that you'll probably have to go to the library and watch Buc What You Heard at a later time. Homeless Harvey, my guy, he's a little bit more reliable than Michael Lombardi, and he's a homeless dude. So, I mean, shout out to him. I gave him a Bucs hat. He's joining the crew here, so shout out to that. But so all joking aside, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we've seen what they've done. We've listened to them on NFL Network. We listened to them on ESPN, so on and so on and so on. They've got to go out there and close the deal. They've got to go out there and win. And that's what it all comes down to. This season is about wins and losses. And that's where my expectations are. I'm done talking about what ifs. The Bucs need to go out there and produce. And with that, we're
Are you gonna
looking
bring
at.
up Mike Evans?
I'm kind
Oh,
of.
I thought that's where you're going.
A little bit going towards like Josh Rosen, the future, because I think
Oh,
in succession we got to kind of look at exactly the things that happened for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we.
But Gene, he's a practice squad player.
You know what? Hey, you got to look long term. I mean, that's kind of how I see it, and I love Josh Rosen. I love his mentality. The fact that he's still a quarterback in the NFL says a lot about him. When you look at his situation, he was drafted in the first round, very high, by the Arizona Cardinals, and the coach that drafted him gets fired, and it turns everything into turmoil. So what happens next? You're a first round pick. You're a first round pick on a team that's trash. The team was trash, with the exception of Larry Fitzgerald. Shout out to Larry Fitzgerald. I appreciate your softball tournament, dude. You're the man. But anyway, when you look at this team that the Arizona Cardinals had assembled, and this was before the who was the running back from Miami that came over from Miami to Arizona?
Kenyon Drake.
Kenyon Drake. This was before Kenyon Drake and all this. And then all of a sudden, you switch up, you get rid of your head coach, and then you decide the new head coach comes in and he's like, you know what? You're not fitting my scheme. You got to go. So you're a first round pick. What does that do to your mentality? You get sent to Miami.
Oh, dude, I don't even get me started on Adam Gase. We could do 3 podcasts for me on him alone.
So at that point, you're in Miami. And you're like, okay, I'm in Miami. I've got an opportunity. Miami's a trash team. I'm going to get an opportunity to play, but you're going up against Fitzmagic.
Well, yeah, and I mean it's tough because they were in such a weird position, and Brian Flores is a win now kind of coach, and I think they just saw Josh Rosen as a good bargain to try to groom for a year and then make him start, but then we know Fitzpatrick's fluky, so he was looking good probably early on in training camp from everything I went back and read.
On 5 million yards.
Yeah, and it's just, shit happens to players. There were a lot of, I'm not sure if you saw the video someone put up of all the drop passes when Rosen was quarterback for the
I was getting to that. But yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah, there's some really bad drops and terrible offensive line play. We forget that Laramie Tunsil was traded from them. A lot of people had them pegged as basically tanking for Tua, not knowing they could get him at 6, but get him at 1. And no, they won more than what they did is because we know Fitzmagic can put some things together, and they came together as a team at the end of the day. And Rosen just wasn't part of their future, and they had their eyes set on Tua, just as the Cardinals had their eyes set on Kyler Murray. It's a business, and shit happens, and he got the shit end of the stick.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at the NFL is a copycat league. The NFL is that league where, okay, RTPs work and everybody's trying to do it. And then all of a sudden, okay, no, it doesn't work. And then you see Kyler Murray and you see, you look at some of your other quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson, some of your quarterback from the Ravens, the quarterback from Kansas, Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, all these guys and what they're doing. And then you've got Kyler Murray, who's available to you because of how bad your team was. And then you bring him in. And then, you know what? You got to kind of move on. You can't have 2 first-round quarterbacks. There's no way in God's green heaven that you can have 2 first-round quarterbacks with 2 totally contrasting styles in the same,
and with Tua deemed healthy at this point. So, if he was still hurt, they probably would have kept Rosen. I thought he was going to probably be on the IR for at least half the year or something. Then they roll him out, sit a couple games and then start the end of the season. But he might start earlier.
Tua is a physical freak, and I say that because that's the same hip injury that Bo Jackson had into his career.
Yep.
But this guy, he's coming back and he's ready to be competitive. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out in Miami. But getting back to Josh Rosen, what does your mentality have to be if you're drafted in the first round, high up in the first round, And then you get traded to Miami, of all teams. And Miami decides, you know what? Your services are no longer needed. We're going to cut you. And then he's gone. And he ends up in Tampa. I honestly believe that he is a good quarterback that has never been given an opportunity to prove that he's a good quarterback. And I like the fact that he's sitting on the practice squad, especially considering COVID-19. I think if things can get back to normal, he can get back to he can have a good camp. He can have a good OTA. He can have, he can actually legitimately compete. And he's actually sitting behind the greatest quarterback to ever toss the ball. And I don't care what you guys say about it. Tom Brady has proven who he is. And I'm done arguing with that. Tom Brady is Tom Brady.
Yeah, and shout out to Bucks Nation and the Locked On Bucks team. I was listening to their podcast this morning with JC Cornell.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah, JC Cornell was talking about how his sources, which one of his coworkers who works under him, I'm not sure if you know, is Jake Arians.
I love that guy.
He said his sources told him that Josh Rosen is going to be on the protected practice squad, and he's going to be on the practice squad the whole year. So he's basically swallowed his pill. Reports came out. He had offers to be on the 53 of some teams, and he turned them down because he wanted to be here. He wanted to learn from Brady, and I think he wanted a low-key, no-pressure season because he's already gotten his money and just move on for the rest of his to the next thing he needs to do, which will be next year, which hopefully will be him against Gabbert for the number 2.
Yeah, and I'm all rooting for Josh Rosen. I'm 100% behind Josh Rosen. I want him to win that position, and I want him to go out and show, hey, I'm taking this position from you. This is my position right now. There's some really good information in the chat right here. Let's see here.
I love Mark Dominic. Love it. Shout out to Mark Dominic, though. Did you know he came in the Bucks as like
he was a swimmer? He was a swimmer in college?
No.
He was a swimmer. He had nothing about football in his acumen in college. He was a swimmer. And it just blows my mind when I look at what he jumped up to.
Well, he was an intern for the Bucks and turned into a GM in like 15 years or however long it took. Like, to me, that's insane. Like, that's crazy.
That's just ridiculous. So again, it doesn't matter. This is the American dream. You can be a swimmer and become the GM of a professional football team. If that's the case. All right. So yes, Mike Evans has a soft tissue injury. I want to get to this, and I think this is a great segue here. And guys, we're going to actually look at the roster as a whole. We're going to get to that in a minute, but I do want to touch on this Mike Evans injury. As you've been following the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I've been following the Buccaneers. We all know that Mike Evans has been prone to hamstring injuries. If it's not obvious, it should be obvious to you that these are the things that can happen. So Mike Evans has a soft tissue injury. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it is.
Jen Lane came out and said it was a hamstring. Typically, 9 times out of 10, soft tissue injuries are hamstring.
Yeah. And so for me, that's Mike Evans. That's what happens. That's Mike Evans. I'm not upset with it. You know what? I would rather have Mike Evans with a soft tissue injury now versus the New Orleans Saints right out of the gate, rather than dealing with this when these games count at the back end of the season. Tell me I'm wrong. Where is the lie in what I'm saying here?
Well, I mean, we saw it last year. I mean,
exactly.
Like both Chris Godwin and Mike Evans went out, and to Mike Evans' credit, last year, at least that one was more fluky because a guy dove and like made him, trip up a little bit, and he kept running, but I mean, pulled it. But It's just sad to see, and they could have played the Bucks for the I think the Texans game. We still had playoff hopes. I was
Yep.
at that game, so I mean, if they were healthy after a week or two, they both could have played, but neither couldn't because hamstrings. If you've ever had one, it takes
Oh my
even the
God.
mild one. A mild one, it takes you to maybe 2 weeks before you start feeling able to do stuff again, and
Yeah,
then
and that's
maybe
like
week 3 and 4 is when you.
without looking like you've got a piece of plywood on your back. I mean, I know for me, when I've gotten them, it's taken at least 3 weeks to a month to heal to where I can actually start to jog, not run full speed, but actually jog. So yeah, this is a legit deal here. And I would rather them sit Mike Evans down. This game is, I understand, and I totally understand that division games are like gold. You have to win every division game you can. And again, I know that the Bucks play the Saints twice, but I think they're in a great opportunity to where they could actually do something. To me, I would rather sit Mike Evans. I would work with the rest of the weapons you have. Your running back core, as we talked about earlier, your tight end core, you can implement a little bit of your tight ends into the offense. And then you've got Chris Godwin and you've got Scotty Miller. And some of these guys, somebody has to step up. This is at that time where you do need somebody. So I think with the injury that Mike Evans has, I would be very cautious. I wouldn't want this to get worse. And this is one of those things where, you know what? Hey, I'm shutting you down. We're going to make sure you're 100% before I put you back out on the field. That's me.
No, I'm 100% with you. As someone who has tweaked his hamstring a couple times and even once ripped it completely off the bone, that was
couldn't even
that was no
imagine
bueno.
That's
Oh, dude,
that's
took me almost 5-6 weeks just to even like do anything normal really for the major one. But like I said, minor ones, it takes a couple weeks. At the end of the day, we need him healthy.
100%.
Everyone thinks the Saints are going to win this game anyway. So if at the end of the day, if the Bucks lose versus the Saints, I don't think Mike Evans is going to be the reason why we do or we don't. I think if Mike Evans is still healthy, the defense still has to play well. They still have to create at least a turnover or two because we know Breeze is going to be efficient.
Right.
It's an away division game, which those are typically way harder to win. So at the end of the day, it's one game. He has this whole week as an extra, basically, week of recovery, which to me is a big plus. I think week 2 is a gimme against a young defense in the Panthers. So I think if he's healthy by week 3, then I'd rather take that than risk his entire season week 1.
100%. You need him, especially in the middle of the season and the back end of the season. So again, I know that if you don't want injuries, but if you had to have an injury, I'd rather have it at the beginning of the season. Look at Devin White.
Last year.
Yeah.
It took him half the season to feel normal.
Exactly.
Granted,
Look at Vita Vea. Vita Vea, his rookie season, the same thing. It happened at the beginning of the season and not on the back end of the season. We saw how important healthy players are last season when you look at losing Scotty Miller, you lose Chris Godwin, and you lose Mike Evans, all to hamstring injuries on the back end of the season. It's crazy. And you can't fight back from that. Well, you got to consider too who the turnovers played a factor in that as well with certain plays that happen. Again, you've got Brashard Perryman as your number 1 receiver at the end of last season. That's scary.
Oh, yeah. And I want to address Neil L. in the chat real quick. He said Vegas has us losing by 3. If you know anything about Vegas, if you're an away team, you're basically losing 3 points already. And from everything I've read about Vegas this season, they're only going to take away 1 point generally from Vegas odds for no crowds. So basically, they're banking 2 points on you traveling, and so I think that the Bucks are still a 1 point favorite, or the Saints are a 1 point favorite. So I think it's still going to be a pick 'em.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a closer game than what the national media thinks. If the Bucks lose by more than a touchdown, I'll be severely disappointed. I don't think it's going to be by more than a touchdown, though.
Yeah, there you go. Bucks dive in the pool. Sources close to Evans say he's playing Sunday, or heard on NFL Network a few minutes ago. Again, I will say this. And I could be wrong. Again, I'm not a head coach. I'm not an insider or any of that stuff. I would rather have Mike Evans sit down and recover 100%, because that's what you need going down the stretch. Especially, you need a very healthy wide receiver core that Tom Brady can work with. And again, when you talk about depth, I still have questions about that wide receiver core, because you have Chris Godwin, you have Mike Evans, you have Scotty Miller, and then you have such a steep drop off after that. These players are going to be called upon. Somebody's going to be called upon to play. Somebody will. You can't tell me what the NFL, the way the NFL is and how violent it is. Somebody will be called upon at some point, whether it's the middle or the end of the season, to come in and play, and they have to be able to step up and do that.
Yeah, and shout out to your boys over at Loose Cannons. They've been on Scotty Miller since the moment Tom Brady entered the building, and I think they've been deemed more right than what I thought, honestly, Scotty Miller could do. But I think Scotty Miller works best if Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are healthy. So that's the big bugaboo is, will Justin Watson start? Will Gronk or play some slot or outside, or how do they handle that? Because I think Gronk with Mike Evans, if he were to not play, is due for a humongous game, because it's the healthiest Gronk's going to be the entire season.
There you go. Question for you.
Let's hear it.
When you think about Scotty Miller, and you think about when Adam Humphries was here, where are you on that?
Oh, I'm a big Adam Humphries guy personally. I think Tennessee doesn't use it. No, but like I mean, Scotty Miller's great, but last year, if you saw him return a punt, he was afraid of contact. He had his moments in Detroit, but then he immediately pulls his hamstring. And I've heard nothing but great things from what he's done with Brady, but I mean, hardly anyone's been at practice, so I got to see it. But I mean, Jameis and Adam Humphries was a great combination. So could
this be the same type of thing with?
I'm hoping that's what you pray for.
Yeah, that's exactly what you pray for right there. Because the fact that he's come in and he's working out with Brady, and he's been working out with Brady as much as possible. I mean, to me, I'm excited about that. But my question, it's always sitting in the back of your mind: is he going to be healthy? Is he going to be that guy that can step up and do what he needs to do? Because I saw him. Who was the cornerback? He smoked him like a Cohiba on a go route, and I can't remember who that was.
One of ours, or from a game last year?
Scotty Miller last year smoked somebody.
Oh yeah,
go route, and I can't remember who it was. Help me out in the chat here, guys.
Was it the Detroit game? That's the one I'm thinking of, but
I don't think it was Detroit. I don't know what it was, but this guy, and it wasn't a juke or anything. It was a straight go route, and it was a straight smoke route, is what I call it, because that guy, I mean, all he saw was Scotty Miller's feet. And Corey Flash, what's going on? Hey, you got to shout out Corey, moving to Tampa, doing his thing, man. Shout out to you, brother. Keep everything going. I got to get you on here, brother. Sooner or later, I got to get you on. Let's see here. Am I missing anything? Oh, Will the Brewer. This is funny. Even sitting on the toilet must have been difficult, ripping your hamstring like that.
Yo, it's straight leg. It's the only way you can do it. TMI. It's TMI. It's the truth, though.
Dude, for me, when I pulled it, and that's all I did. I didn't do anything as severe as you. I pulled it playing softball, and I was running up on a pop fly, and the way I was running, normally, my son played football, so he taught me. The guy that was training him taught me. He said there is a way that you run, and it will keep you from getting soft tissue injuries if you have the right technique when you're running. Because a lot of people, the way they run, they put stress on their muscles just because they're not running properly. And I can think back on this, and the way I was running, it was comfortable to me, and I dug in, and I took that second step, and that was it. Pulled hamstring. So the next day, I'm trying to get out of bed, and I look like the mummy because I'm like, I don't want to do anything. So I'm like, I'm rolling out of bed. And that's the only way I could do it. And so I can't even imagine as a professional football player, when you run routes like you do, and you're as fast as you do, and you're in the condition you are, how does that feel? I mean, I couldn't even imagine that playing at the level he is.
Well, in the NFL, you're not just running fast, you are moving and you're cutting and you're stopping on a dime. Like all of that is just stress. That is, and especially if you're a big guy like Mike. And if it happened to Scotty Miller, I think it's going to be a lot easier of a thing to recover from. But a big guy like Mike, you don't want these type of injuries to linger.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Chris Worthen says it was against the Saints. I think that's what it was. I don't remember who it was, but all I remember was it was a play action.
Eli Apple.
It was it probably was the apple of my eye. It was because I remember it was a play action. It was a play action and it was set up and the ball was out. And Scotty Miller just smoked this dude. And they didn't know what to do. They didn't expect that from Scotty Miller. So that was one of the first times that I looked at it and I was like, this dude could legit be for real here. So,
Well, I'm just happy that with Brady, hopefully he isn't pigeonholed into basically just being the speed guy that I thought he was going to be last year. If he can be a little bit more shifty, do a little bit more over the middle, maybe not be an exclusive the slot guy like Edelman, but just offer, be dynamic. And that's what this offense needs is, hey, we need a play to not go to Mike or Chris for a play, and you're our shot guy. So can you break off a go route if a guy if you haven't beaten him yet? Like, can you break it off? Like, do those kinds of things. So
there you go. That's what I'm talking about. So you know what? I want to kind of take a second. Everybody, and I know all the other podcasts. They've looked at the they're looking at the roster. I'm looking at the roster too, and I'm pretty comfortable with the roster for the most part. Again, I have my eye on special teams, and I've said this. I've been saying this for the past month. Special teams, I'm totally unsure about special teams. Again, a lot of it has to do with no camp, no OTAs, and you're basically putting your product out onto the field sight unseen. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with the NFL even doing that. The NFL should have pushed the NFL games back 1 month, allowed for at least two maybe OTAs and maybe
I think even one preseason game I think would have been enough for everyone to have at least the ops teams to get a practice run, the teams to get a practice run, them to go over all the policies rather in real time as opposed to just throwing it together and you just show up and hope it works.
Yeah, because number one, you get a better opportunity to see what your rookies are doing. You get a better opportunity to see what players that you weren't really sure about. I may keep him. I don't know, but them competing against rookies and seeing you want the best 53 on the field. That's at the end of the day, that's what you want, the best 53. And the only way you can see that is to have them have a game that's not meaningful, but it gives them an opportunity to go out there and play.
Exactly. And I mean, for someone like any of the rookies, especially, but all those bubble players, like it would have been nice to see people like Tristan Wirfs go against a different defensive line. But it's nice to see that at least that we have these different body types that people can go against. So like him specifically, he can go against Shaq, JPP, and Sue and offer different types of things for him to see. But it really sucks when you have to go against your own people, and specifically with special teams, you're not really going to want to go live with them against your own team because the NFL has pretty much said themselves that they're doing everything they can to limit special teams because that's where all the big injuries happen.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with that. Hey, guys, again, 813-358-8154. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what your thoughts, what your expectations are for the season. Again, this is Buc What You Heard on the Brawl Network. My co-host here, Ken Barrett. We still need to get you a nickname, bro. We got to get you a nickname.
Vince Vaughn.
That's it. Why didn't you tell
me? College nickname.
I can work with that.
Do it.
we can work with that. We got to add that in there somewhere. We're going to get that in there. But guys, I would love to hear from you, to be very honest. That's what the show is about, getting everybody involved here. Again, that number is 813-358-8154. Call in. I'll get you on, and let's hear what you got to say. As I'm looking down the list here, again, I'm just not 100% sure about that special teams. I'm good with the secondary. I know a lot of people in the off season were concerned about secondary. For me, I'm comfortable with it. I would have suspected they would have brought in a veteran, but since they didn't, I'm good with that. How do you feel about it?
With me, it's going to be that second gunner. Is it going to be my boy Parnell Motley? Is it going to be? It's hard to even realize or to think of who's going to do what, because when I look at all these players, I think of their positions. Like, I would have kept Parnell Motley over someone like Ryan Smith in general, because I think he's a better cornerback.
I think it was injury related, but I think Parnell Motley's on the team, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he wasn't injury. He earned it. He apparently was the big breakout star of camp. He was the Kenny Bell of camp, at least this year.
Don't bring that name up. I'm not living that down yet.
Hey, my girlfriend's family's from Nebraska,
the Kenny Bell apology tour. I'm sorry that I thought this guy was going to be the real deal.
We all did.
This is the reason that Gene from Buc What You Heard is not a GM or a scout or anything like that.
Dude, they all have misses. Think of how many people missed on Patrick Mahomes.
Sweet.
Dude, the only people that I know is what's his face from NFL Network, Peter. Oh my goodness, why am I blanking on his name? There's like only two people I know of who actually hit on Mahomes. Everyone thought he was a mid to late first round pick.
Yeah. But you know what? They saw something and they liked it, and that's what it turned out to be. And I was blinded because of the Johnny Manziel situation. And I'll be very honest. I thought Johnny Manziel was a bum. I thought he was a bum when he was drafted. And at the end of the day, it turned out that, I was right. The guy was a bum. And there were a lot of people that wanted him. So, it is what it is. Parnell Motley has a hamstring injury, according to Bucks Dive in the pool. So
yeah, well, I mean, it's minor. He practiced today.
Bro, and we were just talking about hamstring injuries. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Well, it was the big thing last year. Obviously, we've mentioned it, but everyone's talking about how basically it might be the, all of these specialists that they've brought in for their strength and conditioning and plyometrics. And I don't know. I just feel like hamstrings just happen, especially in.
I think a lot of it is technique. I really believe a lot of it is technique, is the way you run, because the way your body is designed. When you're running, when you're running like this, you're getting your aerodynamic. And
do you remember the paper? Did you ever learn the potato chip?
Yes.
Yeah, because because of baseball, we had to train with the sprinters and stuff too. So like they taught us all those things that you're pretty much laying out. And I'll never not run without the potato chip now.
That's the thing, man, because that's all about it. It's all about technique, man. And I strongly believe that. Like over in Scottsdale, they have the Shut Down U.
Yeah.
And those were the guys that work out with the cornerbacks, Patrick Peterson. They worked out with Darrell Reeves, and Darrell Reeves.
Isn't Exos there too?
Yes. And then you even consider Rojo's trainer is that guy is legit. They get these guys ready for the season and get them ready to do what they need to do. And if you listen to them talk about it, there's a technique. There's technique in running. There are players that never get injured, but it has a lot to do with their trainers and the technique they use when they're running. But then there are other players that get soft tissue injuries all the time. And I honestly believe it's because of the technique that they're using. But again, I'm not a GM. I'm not a scout.
Are you a doctor?
No, I'm not a doctor.
I'm just
not even close. My wife is she works at a children's hospital and she works in the OR.
Hey, prayers up. Thank you for all she does, man.
Close as I can get.
Yeah.
And I try to give her medical advice all the time.
I bet she loves it.
she
doesn't tell us he's in the doghouse the other 5 days of the week.
You should see she does the best eye roll when I try to give her medical advice. It is hilarious. You would appreciate this.
Oh, I bet I would.
So, as we're looking down the list here, Kevin Minter, did you realize Kevin Minter is a captain on this team?
Yeah, special teams. I mean, I kind of figured.
I shout out to Kevin Minter, another LSU guy. I mean, LSU
revitalized his career.
You know what? Coming to Tampa, there was no better place for him to be.
He got cut by Bulls in Jersey too, or the Jets, excuse me. But yeah,
Jersey Jets, same thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty much where they play at. We just don't talk about it. But again, man, this team, I think if they can put everything together, I really do believe they're competitive.
To me, it comes down to health.
That's what it all comes down to right there. It comes down to health. Rakeem Nunez-Roches, another guy that I expect to contribute to this defensive line. And here's a guy that, again, nothing but love for Rakeem Nunez-Roches. The way he handled, and I do want to, I'm going to get on my soapbox here for a minute.
Go.
There were a lot of assholes, and I'm going to say this, and then you may have to cut this out. I don't know if they had to cut this out or not. There were a lot of assholes that were on him about cruelty to his dog. And it came out last year.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about this.
They were trying to roast this dude, and it turned out that he was innocent. And at the end of all this, all the people, and trust me, guys, if you're watching this, I've got your tweets. I screenshotted all your tweets about this guy and what a bad person and a scumbag he was, but it turns out that he was not. So just remember that. This guy he's a legitimate animal lover. He did everything he needed to do, and he was exonerated from all this. He got a cease and desist letter from this animal shelter crap that they put out that wasn't even true. So, again, here's a guy. I love this guy. I've loved this guy. I love his attitude. I love his demeanor. He wasn't bitter about anything. He just, hey, it is what it is. I proved that, I proved my point, so on and so on. And so nothing but love for this guy.
Yo, and he's apparently bulked the fudge up. Oh my God. I actually
and they were talking about him and just how much of a monster he is. I think
20 pounds of but actually solidly built 20 pounds too. It ain't fat.
Exactly. This is all monster muscle here, buddy. This guy is not playing around. And then think about this. You've got JPP, 100% healthy. This is a guy that could have definitely helped the Buccaneers last year, but he was out until October. And you've got a guy, he's healthy right off the rip. That's something to be excited about.
Well, and the dude has basically proven he can play through anything. Like the guy, because of his whole hand experience, he comes out and says that he has a pain threshold that probably no one else in the NFL can have because of the things he's come back from and the things that he's experienced. And I full 100% believe him, because when you go through that and learn how to play with that, you can play through freaking anything, man.
Dude, if I'm blowing my hand up with a fireworks, I'm done.
He came back from a broken back.
Yeah, I'm done.
3 months.
I'm done, bro. I'm like, okay, yeah, the game is passing me by. I'm done. I'm out of here. Peace out.
Yeah, same.
That's just crazy. Okay, hold on. We got a caller here. Let's see who the caller is. I think we got a caller. It's exciting. Okay, you're live on Buc What You Heard. Who am I talking with? All right, hold on 1 second here. Give me, what?
You can hear him. That's good, though. At least someone can hear him.
Yeah, I can hear him. Let me get him on here. And again, let's see. Sorry about that, guy. I think we should be able to hear you now.
But so far, so good.
Yeah, I got my fingers crossed. This has been a great show. Can you hear us?
Yes, I could barely hear you, but I can hear you.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let's see if we can get this going. I can actually hear you pretty good. Guys, can you hear everybody?
Whoa, it's perfect on my end, at least.
Okay. How's this? Is this better? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well, who am I talking with?
This is Chris, man.
Hey, Chris, my God,
Chris.
go ahead and give the thumbs down to Shooter in the Stash.
Always, man. I'm gonna have to call into a show after the Lightning game. I'm gonna call into
you
a
be
show.
sure
and
to
call
be sure to
me,
give him
so
one of these
I
for
do
me.
it every time.
Hey, you see this thumbs down? Be sure to give him one of these for me too. So, what are your thoughts on the season, man? And you are going to be in the hot seat, actually.
Oh, I'm gonna be in the hot seat. Okay.
Yeah, good luck on that, buddy. I got questions for you.
Hey, you have better luck than Dan
Right,
Quinn,
yeah.
I hope.
So what are your thoughts? I mean, you look at the season. What are your thoughts? I mean, how do you feel about the Buccaneers this year?
I'm just glad this season's happening. First of all, I know we talked back in, I think, when did we talk? April, May?
April. It was April.
Somewhere around there.
I think it was late April.
Wow. And we weren't even sure if we were going to have a season. So I'm just glad that that's, they're moving forward. Week 1's finally here. I'm already getting into it with Saints fans on Twitter. So
yeah, I'm at war with a lot of them bums.
But overall, man, I mean, if this team is what we think it is, this team should go 10-6, 11-5. I actually had them 10-6 before Von Miller got hurt. I thought I felt like they would lose to the Broncos. Now I'm bumping that up to 11-5.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there. Real quick question. What is it about the Broncos that you thought that they had a better team or a better opportunity to win than the Bucs?
I like their pass rush, Von Miller
and Mile High
against their offensive line. It's in Mile High, which is always a hard place for kickers to kick, especially any kicker that can even kick in their own stadium.
Bucs have the best kickers in NFL history.
So, but I mean, look, Denver did a lot of stuff this year offensively to support Drew Lock. I mean, they brought in a few rookie wide receivers, but nonetheless, they're really good.
So,
and they still have.
So let me ask you this: with COVID-19, you really don't get you only get a sample size of what your rookies and new players are coming in. How comfortable are you with what Denver has been able to do or been able to accomplish? Getting ready for the first game of the season.
Honestly, what I can say about any team is I know absolutely nothing. Because they were everything was so sanitized, and they kind of did a good job of hiding what the media could show and what they couldn't show. So really, I mean, even with the Bucs, I didn't get any, the whole training camp live thing was really two people talking the entire time. They didn't show you anything they were running.
Right.
Any plays. So it's kind of, I mean, week 1's really going to be the first time you look at it. But,
so in your mind, week 1 is like a preseason game, basically, because you don't know what you have.
Yeah. It's going to be the first time any of us get to see any of these teams and what they're going to do. And I think league-wide, the first few weeks of the season, weeks 1 through 3, they're going to be pretty sloppy.
Yeah, and injuries, protecting your team from injuries is going to be huge. I think that's something that you really have to kind of factor into all this. Is the team that's the most healthiest will probably advance the farthest. So definitely something to consider.
I mean, but that's every year though. Generally, if you have a healthy team, you're going to go far. But the thing is I think it's going to come down the first few weeks of the season of who's going to play. It's going to be defensive games. Whoever can produce the most amount of turnovers, whoever can not give up a lot of points, are going to win. They're going to win. And Denver has a good defense. They're well coached. Now with Von Miller out, I kind of gave the edge to the Bucs because he's that much of an impact player.
Yeah. And again, because I don't know that much about the Denver Broncos. Are there players that are behind Von Miller that could potentially step up and play and actually compete? And actually make this team competitive.
Well, it would have been Shaq Barrett had they re-signed him.
You know what? I'm good with that.
And Chubb's hurt too.
But
that's too. Oh yeah, and I know that
they had Bradley Chubb, but
he's on a snap count, right?
Yeah, I think
he's on a pitch count.
Yeah, I mean he came. He missed the season last year, or most of the season last year with an injury, so he's just coming back from that.
Yeah.
So that's why
I
it was
believe
really
that, you know, out of the
Miller.
gates, they've got him on a pitch count so that they can keep him healthy throughout the rest of the season. So it will be interesting.
They probably will.
It's going to be interesting to see how they utilize him with the loss of Von Miller.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's going to be a huge loss for them. So that's why I now put the edge back on the Bucs, because, you know, it's a hard place. You go to fly to Denver, play in that stadium. It's hard, you know, the altitude, if you're not used to it. I mean, they're not going to go a few days like they might normally would. They're going to go probably the night before.
Yeah, the night before for all the travel now.
From home.
Yep. Yeah, COVID-19 has changed everything. And how do you feel about, you know, you don't have scouts that are able to go to these games now. You kind of have to depend on game film. This is unprecedented what the NFL is having to deal with right now. And does it
look somehow Bill Belichick's going to get the refs to video?
Well, he's going to somehow get a staff member to film the game.
He's probably got some cameras up under the turf somewhere, you know. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, he's got some secret tunnel in all the stadiums. So Bill Belichick's good. The rest of us are just behind.
Exactly.
No, I'm just playing. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be, you're going to have to rely on film, and you know, hopefully your players are preparing like they should be. You know, I know last year, the first 9 weeks of the season, that was a huge thing for the rookies on our defense.
Yeah.
Because they just weren't preparing well enough until they took the extra time with Todd Bowles to really know what they were doing. So preparation this year is just going to be, you know, a lot bigger than what it normally is. I mean, it's a big thing usually, but you got to kind of go the extra mile with it this year.
I think the one thing that sticks out to me the most is that the Buccaneers turned the corner as a defense collectively last year, where everybody bought in. And what I really appreciated, I went back and I've been watching a lot of the games, the last 6 games of the season. The one thing that stuck out to me was communication. And I know in years past, we've looked at the Buccaneers and there's been this feeling that the Bucs defense is running in quicksand. They don't know what's going on. They're unsure. They're not 100% sold on exactly what to do. And ultimately, what they're doing now is they're like, okay, this is what I need to do. This is my assignment. I'm going to play in my assignment. I'm going to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do, and I'm not worried about what this guy next to me is doing. I think that when you look at Devin White is a good example of that. Levante David is a good example of playing your assignment. Sean Murphy-Bunting, another player. That's a good example of playing in your assignment. You had players in the past that played rogue. They went rogue. That's basically what they did. And they went on and did what they thought they needed to do, not what their assignments were. And I think that really hurt the defense a lot. And then you've got like somebody like a Vernon Hargraves who played 50 yards off the ball, and he was comfortable with that. Mm-hmm. And so now you're looking at a totally different defense. I mean, when you look at this defense, let's go to the last 3 games of last season and look at how they lined up. Look at how they took care of their assignments. Look how they worked as a team. It made you excited for this season. And this is the one thing that I will say, this is why my expectations are so high, is that we're getting that team back. The majority of that team is back, with the exception of Carl Nassib, right?
Yes.
I think Carl Nassib is the only player that's missing from this equation.
And I still think that's a huge loss, but
you know,
we'll get to that later.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I look at some of the players coming off of injury, and I think that they can step in and fill that role. So it remains to be seen what's going to happen, but I'm really comfortable with this Bucs defense if they can go out and execute like they're supposed to.
While we're on this execution,
yeah, I mean,
sorry.
Go ahead, Chris. Please jump in.
Oh, I was going to say that if we're going to stick on execution of assignments, I think this year will be huge because Todd Bowles will actually be able to be exotic. Last year, I think the Bucks, when they were the most successful, they were in coverage, is when they just stuck to basic coverages, nothing fancy, and just played teams like straight up. And this year, I'm excited because Carmen Vitale and other people I've seen have come out and basically said that Todd Bowles' defense has taken a notch or two up since the last time we've seen them.
Healthy.
And that's what I'm looking forward to because Todd Bowles is known for those exotic looks, tricking quarterbacks. He used to give Tom Brady some bad days, even if they lost. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff I'm looking forward to. I want to see week one. I want to see Devin White and Levante doing more than just AA gap blitzes. I want to see all these exotic zone blitzes and bring guys off the slot corner, at Drew Brees. We gotta throw the kitchen sink at him.
Yep, absolutely. So, are you ready for this? You ready to get in the hot seat, man? I got some good questions. I think I have some good questions, and I know you, man. You got the football IQ for this. Okay,
Let's do it.
all right. So, what I'm going to do? This is the hot seat that we do on Buc What You Heard when we have somebody special, a VIP, like my guy here. I do put these questions out here, and I will ask the first question and then start the clock. So, first question: Jalen Ramsey, $105 million deal. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
Tom Brady as quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Sink or swim?
Swim.
Houston Texans all season. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
8 thumbs down.
Mitch Trubisky, starting quarterback, buy or sell?
Sell fast.
Mike Evans with the hamstring injury. Sit him or start him?
Sit him.
The Tampa Bay Bucks signed Josh Rosen. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumbs up.
Arizona Cardinals go to the playoffs. Buy or sell?
Sell.
Odell Beckham Jr., crappy season or seller season?
Crappy season.
The Tampa Bay Bucks win 10 games or more. Buy or sell?
Bye.
Dude,
I think he gets extra 10 seconds.
I'm going to give this to you only because that Odell Beckham Jr. question. I had to throw that in there, man.
That was a good one. I can't believe I woke up to that.
Season, you gotta put that out there, bro. Dude, you survived the hot seat. Thank you so much. What I'd like to do is next week, I'd like to have you come on because you survived the hot seat. That's what I'll be doing this year is having people on if they survive the hot seat, have them on as a special guest, and you can join us next week. If that's something you want to do, let me know. You've got me on Twitter. Hit me on the DMs. Hey, I want to join, and you will be a special co-host next week.
Awesome, man. Look forward to it.
All right. Hey, again, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you before we have you jump off.
Yeah, and you can find me on Twitter at TV_Bucks_for life.
For
That's
life.
Chris Godwin Stan. Not Winston anymore. Godwin Stan.
For life. There you go. For life right there. Yeah, let's get him on here, man. Thank you so much for coming on, brother. I appreciate you. And again, you're always welcome to call in. Guys, that's what I've got the phone line for. If you can see it at the bottom here, 813-358-8154. You want to call in and give your thoughts on everything, that's what we do here. I mean, the reason I do this is because I feel like a lot of Bucks fans don't get a platform to really give what they feel or how they feel, and that's what I'm here for. So, again, dude, thank you so much for taking time to join us here. This has been exciting, and you're going to be the guest co-host next week, so I'm looking forward to having you on.
All right, no problem, Gene. I appreciate you.
All right, brother. I will holler at you later.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
You too.
You too.
And this is what we do, man. I mean, this is what makes it fun right here. My guy, I had to give it to him. I had to give it to him because I hit him with that Odell Beckham question, but I thought that was pretty good.
Dude, I have a coworker who's from Cleveland, and
Okay,
let's just
okay.
say,
I think this is T. Smitty here. I believe this
let's
is T.
hear it.
Smitty.
I've never heard of him.
T. Smitty, you haven't heard of T.
I'm joking. I'm joking. He's been on every single time I've been
Yeah,
on.
you know what? T. Smitty is the guy. Okay, you're on with Buc What You Heard. Who am I talking with?
Oh, you already know who this is, Smitty, man. What's going on? Fan of America's team, your Alabama Crimson Tide came in.
Oh, see, you got to ruin it. You know what? You came out good and you started good, and then you got to ruin it with that Roll Tide thing, man. How you gonna do this to me every single week? You got to ruin it with the Roll Tide. Let's not. No. How you doing, man? How are you feeling about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year?
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Bro, you got to be better than it's got to be better than that.
I feel like the woman who kept taking the guy back and said, "Baby, I ain't gonna cheat no more," and he keeps cheating. It's like the one trying to date future and hoping for the best. I just feel that way right now. And,
but I tell you what, let me ask you this. Now, let me ask you this. I mean, when you're looking at this team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they've made some quality moves here. It hasn't been just it hasn't been a Chris Baker, Swaggy Baker move here, or a the ghost Michael Johnson. It hasn't been one of those moves. They've actually made quality moves here.
Honestly, and I know I'm gonna take some arrows on this one. I think the lack of preseason OTAs, that's the one thing that worries me because you're bringing so many new pieces here.
100%. I'm right there with you.
And I hear so much hype. Everyone's like, the Bucs that. And I'm like, oh, my God. It make it like teams are really going to turn up on you. And, well, honestly, I'm concerned about, I don't know if Brady how long he's going to last, because I know people get mad at me for this, but it's like I've seen over the past couple years, including not even just last year, where he fades down the stretch, just like Drew Brees, because they're older guys.
Right.
And I'm just hoping that he doesn't fall off that cliff like Peyton Manning did and Brett Favre did in the middle of the season. So at the end of the day, he's still 43. And that's the one thing I'm worried about the most.
Well, let me ask you this, T. Smitty. When you look at the roster that Tom Brady had to work with, and I want you to compare that roster with what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have to work with. And just realistically, the if you look at Tom Brady, mentally, he hasn't changed. How fast he's getting the ball out. His ability pre-snap reads, his ability to, just identify certain things in the nuances in the defense. Does that change your opinion of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just because of what he's capable of doing? And you look at the squad he has now versus what he had last year.
I'm the type that I just want to see it on the field.
Understood, man. And you know what? I'm going to say this. And I don't mean to cut you off. I'm going to let you finish your sentence here. But there's no wrong way to be a Bucs fan when we look at the past decade and how things have flowed for the Bucs fans over the past decade. There's no wrong way to be a Bucs fan. So I 100% understand what you're saying. But for me, I wasn't thrilled. And you could go back and look at my podcast back in January. I was not thrilled with Tom Brady coming to Tampa. I wasn't. But when I took a step back and I took emotion out of it and I looked at what the Bucs have and I looked at who they have and I looked at what Tom Brady's capable of doing versus what we've had over the past 5 years, I'm a little bit more optimistic than I would have been, had we stayed the path that we were going.
You know what, Gene? I think one thing also is that I was listening to you guys. It got me thinking. Maybe Jason Light has learned how to be a GM.
I 100% agree with you.
And and I always say this, right? I got to mention his name, so folks yell at me. Like with James was there, I don't think they was aggressive enough. It's like, you see like some things, like the Saints, the Eagles, things like that, who are 49ers aggressively keep making moves every year.
Right.
I think that he just want to see the young guys develop, but the time to win, you got a quarterback on that cheap deal. It didn't work out. Hey, it happened. But also, even with coaching, now this team, Now, Bruce, and I think Tom Bowles the best coach on the staff. To keep it real, in my opinion. But they got a better coaching staff. They got a better roster. Now, I do believe the team is finally good after all these years.
Yeah.
And I think that helps also because if Dirk Cutter was a coach, Brady wouldn't be coming. Now Cam Brate is finally healthy. And I think Brady's going to love him as a red zone threat because he will make those contested catches because he and the last guy had a lot of chemistry. And I think Brate is an underrated guy.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think, like, with the running game, it's finally upgraded after all these years because the only time we had a good running game was Doug Martin's rookie year and Doug Martin's contract year. Common thing there. But but I want to see Rojo because right now he's a lockless monster right now. Everybody keeps talking about it. I ain't seen him. But I know Dirk Cutter screwed him year one.
Yeah.
I want him to do good. I hope he plays well because there's a financial decision coming on him after this season or the next season. Let's see what he has.
Yeah.
Barnett's going to be motivated because guess what? He wants to get paid.
Yep. He
Godwin wants to get paid. Donovan Smith has to get paid. So these guys have to they're going to play well for that reason also. And especially Donovan Smith. Because I'm like, dude, Cameron Jordan punked you. He took your food like Jordan did Horace Grant in The Last Dance. They did everything. And you still rolled over and played dead.
Yeah, he did.
Like you saw Bear in the Woods.
Yep. When I saw that turkey emoji, he had a damn turkey emoji with on a platter. He's like, "Oh, we gonna eat this year." And you know what they did? They overate.
They ate.
That's why they gained all that weight, eating like that. And you know what? You cannot be mad at Cam Jordan. I hate Cam Jordan. I mean, as just because of what he does. But you know what Cam Jordan does? He runs his mouth, but he goes out and backs it up. Like Deion Sanders.
You're right.
Darrelle Revis. I mean, there just have been players in the NFL that are, you look at these players, they run their mouth, but they go out and they back it up every single game. Every single game.
You can't get mad at that. And
no, you can't.
And I'm not even mad. I was not even concerned about the Saints game, right? Because I'm like, hey, win or lose, no biggie. It's the Carolina Panthers. People laugh at it. They poo-poo it. Still a division opponent. They have a new coach. They invest a lot of defense. Still have some good players on that team.
They're scary. They ain't got nothing to lose.
Yeah, and then at Denver, we don't know because you don't know who may step up for Von Miller. I think Tristan Wirfs probably happy about that news right now. Imagine going as a rookie going up against that. But Mount High has been Tom Brady's Waterloo. And it's just crazy how some players, certain places don't have their A game. And, but those are two games where the Bucs cannot lose.
No.
And that's why I'm not really trying to have them rush Mike Evans back. Hey, if you got a hammy injury, take as much time as you need because you have other players here.
Yeah.
If I hear about all these weapons, I mean, you could lose. You could go about Mike Evans for 2 or 3 weeks.
100%. You're 100% right. That's kind of where I'm at. I want this team 100% healthy on the back end of the season. That's what I want to see. Mm-hmm. If you got some nicks and you can play through it, I'm good with that. But I don't want to be looking at this team and saying, oh, okay, Mike Evans is out. Chris Godwin is out. Scotty Miller is out. We don't want to see that. I want to see this team. And that's why I said early on in the show, I would rather see injuries now on the front end of the season than I would in the middle or back end of the season. What do you think there, Ken?
No, I'm with you there. I mean, especially when it comes to Nixon. Like, to me, these are 1 to 2 week injuries. You just hate seeing the half a season, rest of season type deal. Oh, will he be back by playoffs? Those are the things that we just don't need right now. We have no depth at pretty much any position. So we just need everyone to be as healthy as humanly possible.
There we go. T. Smitty, what is your what do you think the Bucs will end up with? What's their record this year?
Oh, crap, man.
I know I got to put you on the spot. Man.
Right now, and I hope I'm wrong and I'm setting this low just so I can be wrong and I'll be disappointed. I'll say right now, 9-7, because I just got to see it all on the field. And I think they could go 10-6 at max. Because I do believe the Falcons are going to improve because they remind me of the Auburn Tigers for them college football fans out there. When they have expectations, they fall flat in their face.
Yeah,
but when there are no expectations, they have a great year.
Yeah, but they have Dirk Cutter.
Yeah, they got Dirk Cutter,
I
man.
know.
I mean, you can't go wrong with it. I hope he gets a 10-year contract.
Hey, speaking of Dirk Cutter, have you guys read Falcons Twitter how they hate Dirk Cutter?
Yeah, it's hilarious.
You know what? I'm the positive voice of reason when I see that stuff, because I'm like, you need Dirk Cutter. You guys need Dirk Cutter for the next 10 years, at least.
Yeah, and one difference that I would get, like, and I always tell people, there are some people who coach and there are some people who teach. Dirk Cutter was not a teacher, because you remember he always said, I want to play a rookie running back, he don't pass block. Screw pass blocking. Can you give me 100 yards?
Hey, do you remember Waterboy when what was it? Coach Klein was sneaking off with that book, that Coaching for Dummies book. That's who Dirk Cutter reminded me of sometimes, because he's like, well, I don't know what I got to do here, Here, let me look at that. That's what Dirk Cutter reminded me of Coach Klein for so many reasons. I'm serious. When I sit back,
it was awful.
When I sit back and look at it, what was it that he had a press conference? He's like, I don't know what we need to do. I'm right there with you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would have fired him on the spot and roll with Duster and just finish the year. But
Yeah.
and like this staff here, I think they've done a better job of what I think of teaching. Because no matter how much talent a young player has in the league, he still has to be taught. And you can't just throw these players out here and say, hey, just go for it and wing it. They have to teach. I think this staff's been doing a better job. And I really hope they have a great year, because I paid for this damn Sunday ticket this year. They better do good.
Yeah, that's right. I've got it too. You know what, T. Smitty, you're 100% right, and that's kind of where I'm at. They've got teachers on this team, and if you've listened to the interviews that Bruce Arians has said, he wants more. He wants to produce coaches. It's not about producing wins, and it's producing coaches, quality coaches that can go out in the NFL and do something with their talents. And I think that's what makes this large coaching staff so great. And you have male, female. It just doesn't matter. It's just a melting pot of coaches on this Buccaneers staff. And that's something that you can't help but appreciate.
Yep, you guys are right, because like one thing, like Godwin, right? He said Godwin would be a great slot receiver. We were like, man, that's BS. And I was like, damn, Godwin is a great slot receiver. and probably get $20 million a year because of that, Yeah. And like some of the play, Alex Kappa played well last year.
Yeah,
I don't need Kappa to be a star. I don't want him to be a turnstile. That's all I care about.
No news is good news.
Bingo. And that's why I don't think Tristan Wirth has the pressure. It's Donovan Smith, because one, the fan base don't like him anyway. He was a second round pick. You give me second round production.
Yeah,
he is what he is.
Yeah, and I will say this, and I will say this about Donovan Smith. Donovan Smith was in the right place at the right time, because there was nobody else at the time he signed that max contract that he got.
Bingo.
There was nobody else that could even compete with him. What is my grandma used to say, better the devil you know than the devil you don't know. And when you got somebody like a Donovan Smith, you know what you've got, and you can pay him and get him in there. A lot of fans don't understand there was nobody else, because I asked this question ad nauseum. Who do you replace Donovan Smith with? If you kick him to the curb, who do you bring in that you 100% know is going to be able to come in and produce like what he's done?
You can't just say a rookie, because
because you don't know what you've got.
And get this, Gene, they're like decent pass rusher and quarterback. You have to suck to be in position to get one, and they weren't going to be able to do that. And plus, Trent Brown was a free agent the next season, so there was no viable option. I'd rather just pay for that. Who knows the system? Who got camaraderie with Marpet and Jensen, and even James? That camaraderie, they knew each other, and all that good stuff. You better bring that back, because to be honest, people, he's gonna be back next year.
Yeah.
So you might want to get ready for that, because there's no other option. If this team meets expectations that the media's putting on them, they won't be in position to take a left tackle, so they're gonna have to just roll with him. And I have no problem with that. You just got to understand he is what he is. My only complaint with him has always been toughness and being a jerk. Because to me, he's like the Teddy Ruxpin of offensive lineman. He's very nice and cuddly. And that's always been my issue. Just be mean. Be like Jensen. If you get a 15-yarder here and there, because remember last year, right? I know you guys got to run.
Yeah.
Remember, like, there was times when Jameis got a cheap shot and Jensen took a 15-yarder to take up for him? Oh, cool.
I'm good. You know what? I was good with that.
Yeah. And when last time I think Donovan Smith do something like that?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think it's going to be better. Tom Brady again,
I hope so.
and I know that I promised I wouldn't talk about Tom Brady, but he's a coach. Tom Brady is a coach under center, and he has expectations for what he wants from his offensive line, and I believe that's what he expects to get. So again, this first game, yeah, exactly. Do your job. I think we're going to get a good idea of what this Buccaneers offense is going to look like off this first game. And I think it's going to really give us a good, idea of what we can look forward to in the future, whether there are places that you can build on or, what can happen. But, I'm really comfortable with this.
Can I ask you guys this? This has popped my head. Do you guys think, I may have missed it, so if you repeat yourself, I apologize. Do you guys think Leonard Fournette probably going to be most likely the short yardage back? Because I believe that was stuff that this team missed, where it's like there were a lot of times on 3rd and 1, 3rd and short, they couldn't push that ball up the middle. And he could be that hammer for that 4-minute offense to run out the clock. Do you guys think that would probably be his role primarily?
Yes and no. I think he will be the primary back for 4-minute and short yardage. However, I think the play calling has to be better in those situations because, as a fan, knowing a little bit about football, I'm no Todd Bowles, but when I see Chris Godwin line up behind or motion to be behind the tight end, I know Peyton Barber's going right behind him. Those are pretty much 50% of the play calls for 3rd and 4th and short. So it's things like that I think that need to be cleaned up. And that's why I hope Brady is able to audible and get us into better situations rather than trusting a young offensive coordinator and Byron Leftwich to make those kind of calls.
Yeah. And you got to consider the pre-snap reads. I think you've got a more seasoned quarterback under center now that can do a lot more with what he has, around him than what we saw last year.
Well, and Jameis, that was my one thing. My one thing with Jameis was I don't know if it was Arians not giving him the ability to, but there would never be an audible, and it would always be on one. And that was, to me, you're setting up yourself for failure if you have a play call and the defense is in the right position to defend it.
But to that point, there were times where I would look at Jameis, and I don't think he knew what he was looking at with the defense.
I agree.
I know this guy's an X's and O's guy. I've seen him on the chalkboard, but I'm telling you, real time, when he's looking at a defense, there were times, especially in the 3-4, he didn't know what he was looking at.
Oh, 3-4, yeah, I would agree. I hated whenever we played 3-4 teams with Jameis, just in general. They couldn't block him.
You guys got to understand, I love Jameis. I wanted him to succeed. But I'm being very honest here as a Bucs fan, looking at the team overall. When I would watch Jameis, when he would come to the line, I don't think he knew what he was looking at defensive-wise.
And me and Kenny talked about this a while back. It was best for him to move on.
Yeah, 100%.
It was best. Sometimes it is because he getting that teach because he got dirt cutter, man.
Yeah.
And he tell Arizona State, well, you win 8 games and put a statue in your honor out there, And so it's best, man. And hey, and I think that's how sometimes it works out that way. But one thing, like what Ken was talking about, like the run calls. I'm just glad that I won't be drunk by midway through the first quarter playing the Peyton Barber. Hey, because get this, I would not have to worry about playing the Peyton Barber up the middle of first down drinking game.
I don't drink, but you and me both.
Hey, so what did you think about what I think Marcus Mariota's done for the year? Is that true?
He's on IR. It's got to be at least 3 months.
Gonna be 3 months.
Excuse me, three games. Excuse me, sorry.
3 games? I thought
IR is minimum 3 games.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that's crazy because they said that he wasn't really moving the needle in camp either. So again, COVID-19 has really hurt a lot of players, and there are players that I don't feel like got a really good opportunity. It's going to be interesting. This is kind of off the topic here, but we're talking about college football. you got college players that are going to be eligible next year for the draft, right? Or how is that all going to work out with COVID-19?
What's gonna happen is that like you see some guys already opted out. I thought the guy who was start at Georgia playing quarterback, he was a fool for opting out because he really has no tape playing quarterback.
Right.
So we're gonna take you in the first round with no tape. Sorry, but if you're a top prospect like Jamar Chase or LSU, go. You're a receiver to get leave. Don't worry about coming back because you don't need to tape. But like quarterbacks, for example,
a
lot of times you play away in the first round. Look at Joe Burrow and Kyler Murray. If they opted out, Burrow wouldn't have been drafted.
Nope.
Kyler Murray wouldn't have gone number 1.
Nope. Not even close.
So sometimes you play your way into that.
Yeah.
Because who knew who the hell Carson Wentz was till he played ball?
Exactly.
You know, Cam Newton played 1 year of college ball. He can't number 1 pick. If he didn't play, he wouldn't have gone number 1.
Well, if we're gonna
sometimes play to play it out.
Well, if we're going to stay on Carson Wentz for a second, how about Trey Lance? They're trying to give him basically one game just to showcase him, and the rest of the team is supposed to buy into that.
No, that's not going to happen.
Like if I played for North Dakota State or whatever
right there,
these colleges, I wouldn't want to play. That's bullshit.
That's when you go to a Division II team and hope for the best. I that would be my option right there. Well, dude, thank you.
You guys have a great day.
Hey, T. Smitty, thank you as always. I appreciate you being a loyal listener. I will have to get you on here as well. Again, and you saw how we did with the hot seat. I got Chris on. He's coming on as a co-host, special co-host next week. Maybe we can get you on in the future, man. I love your takes, and I appreciate you, following up with Buc What You Heard, and, at least taking the time to call in. You're appreciated, man.
Hey, thanks, guys. And I love this format, like just us regular everyday Joes, just talking ball, having a good time, and no one.
That's what's missing.
Because they're too big for anybody. And I love this format.
I appreciate that.
I
man.
agree.
We will get you back on again, brother. Thank you so much, and you have a good night.
Yeah, stay safe, man.
All right, that was T. Smitty, longtime listener, and that's greatly appreciated. Well, dude, can you believe we've been on for an hour and a half?
Dude, I thought these were going to be so hard for me to talk in, just in general, and we've minimum we've done is an hour 45.
I know, right, man? And I'm appreciative again. Thank you so much for being able to come on every week. And I think we're going to have Buc What You Heard is going to have a great season. Again, Buc What You Heard. The Brawl Network. If you get a chance, guys, go out and check out @Brawl Network on Twitter. And see what they have to offer, man. It's a lot of good information. You may find your team, you may not find your team. So again, they're great. They're up and coming network, and I'm proud to be a part of all this. So thank you so much. Shout out to the Brawl Network. You know what? We're gonna roll up out of here, but Ken, before we go, I want to get your final thoughts. I'll give my final thoughts, and we'll roll up out of here because this is week 1. We are rolling up on the first game of the season. So let me get your final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I think the Bucs, with or without Mike Evans, are going to win by a field goal or less on Sunday. Final thoughts.
All right. For me, my final thoughts are, we've been dealing with futility for so long. The Bucs have had a 10-win season and a 9-win season since 2010. And again, I know that's created division because you don't really have anything to look forward to as a Bucs fan. And as I mention all the time, there's no wrong way to be a Bucs fan. But I will say this. We all need to come together. We are all Bucs fans. We want to see this team hoist the Lombardi trophy. We want to see this team go to the playoffs. I don't want to get to the end of the season and talk about draft picks. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to talk about who are we playing in the postseason. That's what's important to me. I think the Bucs have made some great moves. And, I think us as fans, regardless of whether you like Tom Brady, you like Gronk, whether you like Leonard Fournette, or your draft pick didn't get picked, at the end of the day, we've got to all come together and say, hey, this is our team. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers is our team. That's why I shout out all these different podcasts, because everybody's got the same mindset. I'm fortunate to have Ken on with me here. Ken, my guy, who, he said, you know what? I love the format. Let's all come together and let's make this work. And I think that, you're going to see some big things from us. And again, thank you so much for taking time to, listen to us. And you know what? We're going to go ahead and roll out of here. I mean, you're greatly appreciated. And we will be on this time every week, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, and we'll be giving you our thoughts. And I want to throw this out here. The reason I do this Wednesdays is only because the tape for the All 22 tape does not come available until Tuesdays. So that gives me a little bit of time to break down film or look at certain things before we roll out with the show on Wednesday, so that we're giving you the most competent information that we can. My guy here, he's a tape guy. He's an analytics guy, and that's why I was happy to have him on. I'm the beauty, he's the brains. That's just kind of how it works, man. But anyway, that's pretty much it for us. And I want to thank you guys so much for coming on. Whether you're on Twitch, whether you're on Twitter, whether you're on YouTube, thank you so much for taking time to check us out. And we're out of here.